Today is December 23rd, 23. All right. Again today, I stutter. If I smoke, my stuttering cuts way back. It calms me enough that I don't stutter from the head injury, from these people, being jumped. The whole thing of it is, I seen 3 other guys tonight. I don't know who they are, but I remember them following me. Okay, during the case. The cops would know who they are. Okay, I see them. I go in afterwards from eating at Texas Roadhouse, and in Alliance, we go into Kohl's, and people are walking by saying stuff. They had to tell her everything. She didn't know. Well, no, it's a scam. How would I? Okay. And people are also saying that they all know Dave never got on that airplane. All right. I think he did. Because you got to think, he bought a girl. You got to think of this scenario. He acted irrationally, bought a prostitute, actually bought her like a puppy, paid money for her, a prostitute from Japan, went over and bought her, married her like the next day, illegally human trafficked her back into the United States, started acting more irrationally, and then gave up everything from his clothes to everything he owned. He disappeared and told his son he was going to never see him again in life, and his accounts are all in the negative. What does that scream? Homicide. My son's so mad at his dad for basically where he's a daddy's boy. He may be 35, but he worshipped his dad. He didn't know about the drug cartel. He didn't know anything. We live 40 miles away. Unless you're involved in something or somebody tells you, you live your own life. You only see your parents or your other family member. You don't know what they're wrapped up into. Okay, so he didn't know this crazy shit. Okay, that's where he said he started acting irrationally. Bought some woman online. I was telling him, how pathetic are you? You have to pay for somebody and then they're selling them and they're that pathetic? And he said, and you went over and you bought her? You bought an actual human being? Oh, that's another thing people were saying in calls. Karen's ex-husband actually bought a human being. And when he bought a human being, he disappeared afterwards. And they're realizing what happens. You buy a human being, it disappears. Right? See, their whole scenario. We're going to go back to that. He's acting irrationally. Okay? He's acting irrationally. He buys a human being like a puppy. Prostitute from Japan. She could have AIDS. She may be even married. And the wedding is a scam, for all he knows. Comes over here and she could sign him over, everything over to her, and she kills him. She could be a black widow. She could have AIDS. She could have another husband. See what I mean? You just don't go buy somebody off the internet and go pick them up, marry him the next day, and bring him back. I'm telling you, that human trafficking gang had him go buy that prostitute and bring her back so they could pimp her out here in the U.S. And where he's acting more irrationally, where they have supposed to drug me up and told me to say stuff, I think they told him to say all that stuff, and they went out and killed him. Where they're saying Henry killed him, and they're yelling at, and they're saying the drug cartel came back and killed him because their men got arrested. And they basically are going to get the life insurance policy in the house. He's gone. He's not been heard from for over 30 days. He's a missing person. I told one of my clients' husband the scenario. They got put out there. He looked at me and said, my God, he's killed himself. He said he made up that whole scenario of him taking off with that girl. He's went out and killed himself, right? Because he said he was leaving his clothes. He was never going to see him again. He's leaving the country and taking off with some girl he bought online. He's realized what he's done and went out and killed himself, right? I said, I figured they killed him. And that girl's now working as a prostitute for him. He was just moosing her over here. And he said, it sounded like me. He harmed himself. And that's what my client's husband said. I said, I think they killed him. I said, because that screams homicide. And I said, my son's maybe 35, but he's not putting it together. He's so mad at his dad for acting irrationally, buying a prostitute, marrying her, bringing her back, and then supposed to be jet-setting all over the world with her. And he don't have that kind of money. And his accounts are negative. He's like, my God, he's killed himself, right? And I said, I think they killed him. And they just had him moose her over. All right. Now, and my nerves have been so bad. I had this one friend, okay? We've gotten a lot of arguments on the phone and stuff, but then slowly become friends again. But he used to work in a law enforcement part, okay? He has a bad habit. Now, he's been let go of the law enforcement part. He makes fun of rape victims. Obviously, why they let him go. A year ago, I was working at this really handicapped person's place. And he called me up, and I'm trying to get people to help out. You know, the police and da-da-da. He started laughing at me. He's like, the police don't care about rape victims. They don't care about women. They don't care about children. They will let the human traffickers sell them, and they'll take payoffs. And he starts talking all this crazy crap. I'm like, no, they don't. And I said, that's sick. I said, you know what? There may be one or two bad in the world or in the area, but the rest of them are good and lay their life down every day. And I don't want to hear you insult them. Do you understand me? And I told him off really bad over a year ago. Well, today, here it is the day before Christmas Eve. He calls me up to get your son to make a police report on your ex-husband leaving. I'm like, no. I said, I made a report. Oh, the police don't want to hear it from women. I said, women have voices, and they matter. The police only want to hear it from men. No, they don't. I said, this isn't going to end well. I said, when I get done telling you off, it's going to be over. He started giggling. He did this on purpose so I wouldn't talk to him again. He thinks it's funny making fun of rape victims. And I said, we've already had this problem before where you call up and laugh at me. Well, the police won't help you. They don't care. They don't care what happens. They don't care what happens to you. They won't listen to you. The police watch me. I told him I was an FBI informant. The police watch me. I told him that even other cops have worked the case, or they know the officers that watch me. He's even seen cars drive by us and other ones pull in. See, that's where he's even seen the people. See, that's where the whole thing's ridiculous. Then he's seen other people follow me. See, that's where the whole thing of it is. Him insulting me. He's just being a jackass. So I told him off. I said, women have voices. And I'll tell you what, and the police do listen to women. And I can report my ex-husband missing, and that this crazy scenario was told to me by my son about my ex-husband, and his accounts are in the negative. And I sent him proof of it being in the negative because the IRS, where we had a small tax bill, he was supposed to be paying it, and it's bouncing. And they sent me a letter, it's bouncing. And he's supposed to be flying across the world with some lady he bought online. And my son, they already know my son doesn't know about his drug cartel connections. So I would have to sit down and told my son about his drug. Well, you need to do it. I said that'd be an oh my God situation. He's not already handling his dad basically telling him to F off, that he's taken off with some prostitute he bought online. He doesn't understand any of this because he was left out of it. And I said, and you calling me up here, this is ending really bad. And this is going to be over after this. That's fine with me. He starts laughing. He did this on purpose. He knew my nerves were shot because I think Dave killed my ex-husband. And there's a hit on my life. That means I could be next. And they're already stalking me around my apartment. And he thinks it's funny. He thinks it's funny killing people. That's what it is. See, I've always wondered his involvement in this. Is he paid off from them? Or is he just some freak trying to hit on some woman and have an affair on his wife? Oh, I put that in a text message. Don't you ever contact me ever again. Don't you ever contact me. You're either some man that's trying to have an affair on his wife, and I've told him off for that too. We're only friends. Because he tried to make moves on me. And he just thinks I'm cheap and easy. He's either some freak that's trying to have an affair on his wife, and I have to put him in his place that we're only friends. Huh? Or he's part of this. And he thinks it's funny that the police don't do it. And that's where I'm thinking that legal department that he was part of, they let him go. They let him have his pension, but they let him go. How much you want to bet he was making fun of the rape victims in there? The human trafficking victims. Because the police are dirty. That is it. Oh, he tried to tell me police don't care about women. They don't believe women. They don't take their statements. Gee, they sort of have like a special victims group for women and children. Why don't they shut it down then? Huh? Because I don't think police, okay, I am a home health aide. I am a DSP. I love people. 90% of the time, I love people. The people that have any kind of learning disability, elderly need extra help. The people overlook in life are the kindest, sweetest people on this earth most of the time. Most of the time. Most of the time. Not saying that they are on a regular daily basis, sometimes give you a hard time. But they're the kindest, sweetest people on this earth. And my heart is taking care of people. And I love my job. Police officers have the protection thing, where they're like the knight in shiny armor, that they try to make everybody's world safe, and they go out and risk their life every day trying to keep the area safe for everybody to live their life freely. So where this idiot's insulting them that they're all the worst criminals in the world, they're not. They're not. I actually know quite a few police officers, and they're the happiest kind of souls I've ever met in my life. And characters. Okay? And I've had good officers that worked my case that I wouldn't be alive without them. And that idiot man calling me up just to harass me. Just to harass me and to laugh. They may have paid him to do that. See, that's where I've even wondered if the cartel wasn't paying him to harass me or get information. I've wondered that because he thinks it's funny that the police haven't stepped in and taken care of this. Well, the police have had their hands full. They have had their freaking hands full. This case, like people show up in Hartville, it's a nationwide human trafficking scam. Karen around the house, Karen's well FBI informant. The drug cartels came here and were human trafficking, drug trading. And people were dying and being taken. And on top of the regular crimes, they had their hands full. And on top of it, these people were breaking their crimes around me and in front of cops. And then they were having to set up people to go after them and surveillance them, trying to find out where their drug lords are. They had to follow them back to their leaders. And they were so arrogant, they were breaking their crimes in front of cops, knowing I'm an FBI informant, knowing the undercover police watched me. And they were so arrogant, they didn't think they could be stopped. They had their hands full with this case. And then trying to keep me safe while I was out. and chasing off people and everything else, and then trying to get who all is involved in this, their hands have been full with this. This has been, the police work the case. Just because they haven't pulled me out of here and hid me, he thinks it's funny. Huh? He thinks it's funny. You know, me and him got into an argument on the phone. His sister had been killed in a domestic violence dispute. I said, would you want me to call up and make fun of you for your sister dying? Or somebody else doing that to you? He's like, no, that wouldn't be funny. And I said, it's not funny. These people raped me and took videos of it. It's not funny they tortured me and took videos of it and showed it to people or crushed my head in. It's not funny they did that to me. And I have a dent in my head. And all these other people have drugged and told to say it, And you know what I mean? And they've witnessed these crimes and they've sold it. And the Mexican drug cartel is into the witness protection programs. They are selling them. It was on Google and they've sold the technology. Where I reported it 4 years ago they were doing it, people wouldn't listen to me. Now they're into other cases because they got a hold of the technology and could get into it now. See, that's why they're supposed to take your statement if they believe you or not and follow through, so that it stops it from happening. See, the regular police that work my case, I'll tell you what, I can go into Walmart 62. Some of the Canton cops in there watch me. Stark County Sheriffs. Massillon Police used to help out. North Canton Jackson Police. Hartville Police. People, investigators in Hartville, we all know this is a nationwide human trafficking scam they're working on. So they've had their hands a little full. They may not have hidden me, but they've been trying to keep me safe while I'm out. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for some of the good officers assigned to me, like Officer Mark, Officer John. And there's quite a few other ones. And they're my regular ones. So even my brother's seen officers assigned to me. Other neighbors, when I went out to eat, they came in and sat down at tables. They've seen them. Why do they keep turning around looking at us? It's like, that's one of the officers assigned to me. You know, when we got outside, what was that guy's problem? I said, that was the officer assigned to me as one of my cops. My officers that watched me. He's like, I'm glad I didn't know I'd be nervous. I said, why? He's a cop. If anything, we were the safest people in there. We had an officer sit next to us. Huh? See, these people have walked around bragging their crimes in front of the police. See that idiot calling me up? Cartel probably gave him money to do it. He's like, that's fine if this is going to end bad. I said, that's fine, because when I get done, it's going to be over. I said, you calling me up, you know I'm nervous, you know I'm upset. Well, you need to get your son to make a report. Police only listen, they'll listen to him because he's a man. Oh, women have voices. Women have voices, and the police do listen to women. And I hate to tell him, and I told him a million times, FBI informant, the police watch me. And that's where I've wondered how much the cartel has used him as a pawn trying to get information out of me. Because he was already let go from a legal office, and they only let him have his retirement. So more likely he was making fun of the rape victims in there, or trying to make the moves on them. And they got rid of him real quick. Probably both. Because I'll tell you what, that's not funny he did that. And I told him off, don't ever contact me again. I don't want to hear from ever again. And I said, I'm blocking you. Don't you ever try to contact me again. See, that's one thing. Sometimes just being a friend is just listening to somebody or putting your arms around them and hug them and let them know it's okay. Even if there's nothing you can do about the situation, maybe pray. Maybe get online, see if you can't find somebody else to help. And then if you do have contacts with somebody, to see if they can't step in and help. For you to sit back and laugh at somebody who's been raped and tortured, they're almost murdered, left in the middle of a drug cartel. Okay? And now their ex-husband may be dead and people are already playing around their apartment, trying to get into them, and their life is at risk again. and these people have already tried to murder him, where would you make fun of that victim? Because you're paid off. Well, he won't be making fun of me again. I blocked him. Told him never to contact me ever again. I want to hear from. I told you I think the cartel was using him to get information. But then again, see, that's where we're gonna go. I went down to Walmart 62. Idiots were walking around, but she's never talked to anybody. It was a police in her home before? No, honey. It was a drug cartel. Dave told Danny how to repeat on his own. He was asking him questions about this weird Eric's, them saying he was stalking me, where he laughed at everything. He photoshopped everything. And he already confessed in Walmart November 18th, 22. And I told him how the police departments have been looking for him, where they had kicked in my door. Then I was waking up with all those bruises, how they're supposed to have drugged me and told me to say weirdo stuff. They're supposed to put a shower scene in the other room. And by the way, with them saying they did a shower scene in the room, they got kitty porn of your kids used in the bathroom, then porn of you and your wife used in the bathroom. And this pervert's out there with this porn of all of us selling it. And people are saying stuff. And by the way, they've sold your kids on sites too. And they've sold you and your wife. And where I had those marks and I was sick and everybody knew it, nobody knew what was happening to me. That idiot was drugging, beating me and drugging me up and telling me to say weirdo stuff I've heard. And I didn't see him. He had been roofing me when I was out of the room and left my drink, or where I was waking up with marks, he was injecting me with something. And it's not funny. So Danny finally got around to asking Dave this spring. And he told him he had hired Pete on his own. There was no court order. And I heard him tell somebody he had hired Pete on his own, and he thought Pete had me framed. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? Well, when those agents were laughing at me about some guy named Pete having me framed, and how I didn't know. I didn't even know who Pete was for a year. Still never talked to him. And then found out it was my ex-husband's girlfriend's dad. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. I didn't know who she was. I knew nothing. And he's in the Mexican drug cartel, the M13. His son is one of the gray truck guys. I had another guy with an eagle tattoo follow me. I did some research on the M13. They wear the eagle tattoos. It's Hail El Salvador. Or if they got the little tattoos around their eyes, that is part of the M13 Mexican drug cartel. They're serial killers. Unless they got a fascination with eagles. And it's just by chance, they're parading their serial killers. Just say. So when you see that, you might want to ask them if they just patriotic. Or they're part of a gang. That is their gang tattoo. Alright. I had one follow me the other day. Where I had that Lauren follow me the day before that. Or her sister. The two blonde girls, where they said that agent was stealing from them. That's a bunch of hawking bullshit. That she was so poor. They were with the $80,000 to $100,000 truck guys, and their families live in $400,000 or $500,000 houses. They're not poor. He's stealing to steal. He still owes me that money. He can't tell me to stay quiet. He was just bullshitting people. He doesn't have that kind of authority. He's only a police officer. And like they said in Walmart, we all know he already told on her before she even talked to him. And then he confessed he talked to everybody out on the phone. And so where he was being cruel to me, and he better say that was the worst act so he could get the drug dealers. Or, oh my God, he's actually that dirty. And then stole my money on purpose. The FBI still owes me that money. I've talked to a criminal attorney. They do owe me that money, and it's for working the case and only working the case, and they can't ask you to stay quiet. They're only hired police officers. They can't tell anybody not to help somebody, not to believe somebody. You go to jail for that too. You can't bully me into false statements, and nobody could be in my home outside that projectile light case with statements. And like Officer Mark I think he's the tall white guy with the white hair. Over my case, Lamar Sharp, Michael Barswell, Amar, and the other Michael at CSC Bank, 19 and 20 Canton officers. They actually know who he is. He would be in the bank. I watched him walk out of the back. Him and some of the other guys. And the North Canton Jackson police seen him at Liberty House Share on Hillsdale Road, June of 19. And the Walmart police would know who they are, and the Stark County Sheriff. But a week ago Sunday, I was in Alliance Walmart. Go out at night, ladies following me out, and they're yelling stuff about Officer Mark taping that agent that he was in it with Dave, that he set me up for him, and that none of this is funny. He had already taped these people admitting to drugging me and telling me to say it before. And where they were talking about the shower scene in the other room, if somebody would have actually honestly did that, that would be a 911 call, because they're hallucinating where they're at and they're delusional. And everybody would have known that would have been a 911 call. That somebody's having some kind of stroke, seizure, medical episode, you hit your head, you've ingested some kind of drug that you're hallucinating, and you don't know where you're at and what you're doing. That would be a 911 call. If somebody actually did that. That somebody is acting that erratic. See, that's where Dave broke Dave. Dave is a missing person. My son said he's not heard from him in over 30 days. I extremely doubt he even got on that plane that night. He's either hiding somewhere in the United States or they've killed him. And he has no money coming in. So they need to find him. You know, with him, at first I thought he just left with his new wife and abandoned the house. And I was going to go walk the property thinking all this, I almost died for nothing, for a square box, a split level house that he threw away and everything in it, where these people have raped, tortured me, bashed my skull in, almost murdered me for something he threw away. And just look at it and be grateful that I'm alive, that God brought me through it when so many others have died around me. And take a moment, reflect. Let the thought, my son's not heard from him in 30 days. And the way he was talking and he didn't take his clothes. I'm almost afraid to walk the property, because if I would find him or my puppies or both disposed of on that ground, they would hear me scream for Ravenna to Maslin. Nope. I'll have to rethink about it. And then I got to think, well, they probably wouldn't put him there anyways. But just in case, just these people cut people up in pieces. Have people make fun of you of how they murder you. These people tortured me, bashed my skull in, raped me, saw videos of it to even children. I'm good. I like my money, FBI. You got a lot of bad guys. A lot of bad guys. He's got a lot of bad guys. I need a safe place to live. Law that need to actually kick in. Dave should have went to jail for what he did to me 100%. 100%. Not be slaughtered. And I don't even know if he's slaughtered. All I know is he's missing in, like my client's husband. It sounds like he harmed himself. Well, to me it sounds like a homicide. No clothes, no money, counts are negative. Been buying